August 23rd, 2022, doing a short analysis of the contingency video created by Chris Straub of the Local58. The contingency video is the 8th of 9 that he's done up to now. It's the creator of Local58, WCLV, it's deciphered as 339. And anyone who is aware of the 339 as it pertains to closure, as it pertains to demise, March 9th, 1933 was the date that the United States, USA Inc. made it known to its citizens that they were collateral. They were put away as collateral for the national debt, and eventually will be liquidated, but that's another story for another time. You can check out my videos that I've made on that subject. But Local58 and anyone watching this video I'm producing knows all about Local58 and the contingency video. The contingency archive imagery apparently is an official United States contingency plan. Here's the imagery of the upload video that would have been used supposedly. And notice United States Department for the Preservation of America, 393. There's your 393. Here's your 339. 393. It's there. The number is there, and that 339 again very relevant as it pertains to closure and as it pertains to demise in within the category, the context of the United States Inc. and its citizens. And this contingency video or film footage that supposedly was to be shown to the United States citizens in the event of a catastrophe involving an enemy takeover of the United States Army. This is the backdrop of why this video, this government footage was actually produced. Actually, I wasn't going to play the actual recording of the newsreel created by Chris Straub of the contingency. This has been done by so many. There's so many people who have analyzed, who have actually made videos regarding their reaction to watching the contingency footage on Local58. People are making a lot of money based on the number of views they're getting. People are monetized, making money as they present themselves reacting to this very surreal, unnerving footage that was, in my opinion, genuinely made by the United States government in case of this so-called overthrow. Now, I believe that there would never be an overthrow. I believe, in my opinion, these nations are gathered together and they are putting on the narrative of the world stage of the New World Order, and this narrative apparently is being led by this system, USA Inc., which I consider it, aka Babylon the Great. Okay, if you watch my videos, you know my stance on that. So, as the narrative goes, the United States, the 1950s, 60s, early 70s, you know, the 50s and 60s, you know, especially dealing with the Cold War, dealing with Lyndon Johnson, who supposedly created this DPAD, this Department of the Preservation of American Dignity, had this footage prepared in case of this demise of USA Inc. and the instructions of the footage, of course, if you're watching this, you know what the instructions included. But the cryptic messages in the footage itself it suggests that you take the formation front lawn, face upward, I believe feet forward, something like that. It was FFF basically, and the FFF is obviously 666. So this whole narrative is around the same time frame of what occurred apparently in 1971, February 20th, 1971. There was a 40-minute error that was being broadcast, an emergency broadcast over the airways on February 20th, 1971, that the United States was under nuclear attack. So this type of language was very common, and apparently it was the language obviously would have been as part of a plan, basically, to bring on the state of panic. And it is not it's not anything new. This has happened in the past. It happened in 1938 with the War of the Worlds broadcast with Orson Welles, October 30th, 1938. Kansas City, Missouri basically had a so-called false alarm on March 2nd, 2021, of a actual tornado warning, tornado on the ground. And of course it was announced that it was a mistake. And the day that happened, I remember it was a clear sunny day. It wasn't even nowhere near being any threatening weather, but it was announced that a tornado was on the ground threatening the Kansas City area, but it was a false alarm. Now, not to just jump all over, subject to subject, but I want to hit on what the significance of Local 58, the number 58. It pertains to, in my opinion, the origin of the importance of using the number 58. It would come from ancient times. Like a lot of these, a lot of the symbolic numberings come from ancient times. And in this particular instance, the number 58 would be found, or the relevance of 58 would be found in the book of Jasher, chapter 6, verse, guess what, 39. Chapter 6, verse 39. It is pertaining to the flood. The flood occurred as it is described in this chapter. Noah and his family and the animals spent 1 full year before opening up the ark. And the day that the ark rested and the Noah opened up the ark it is described as the second month in the 27th day. The second month would be February, the 27th day. That is 58 days. So there's your 58. 58, again, it is synonymous to demise, destruction. And this system, I believe, is using Chris Schwab, who has no disrespect to this individual, but he obviously has the authority and he's been given the green light to present this footage, I believe, which is real footage of a plan that apparently was in the works, but obviously they backed off of it. Perhaps it was too early for such a presentation. Perhaps they knew that the masses of USA Inc. were not properly prepared. They weren't properly programmed as so that our minds would accept such a presentation as real, as to be given a suggestion to take your own life. Okay, so I really hate to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and run this footage, this video, because as so many other people have done, I'm going to do it as to allow whoever watches my presentation to get the full effect of the Local 58's presentation of this contingency newsreel, and I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to follow up with my conclusion on why I believe this contingency news footage continues to play on a daily basis through over the airwaves, but it has been reconfigured, it has been revamped, and it is basically disguised as something else. But this contingency message plays over the airwaves day after day, and I believe it is overrunning and taking over the mindset of the masses of USA Inc. And I will follow up with that right after. See that final clip of Chris Straub having acquired the footage from the USA Inc.'s government, which tells me that he is in league with the system. Again, no disrespect to Mr. Straub, but anyway, moving forward, the context of the video is self-explanatory. Again, so many people have already explained that clip. It is a contingency, again, meaning the preparation for an overthrow. And the main clip that really jumps out at me is where it states it is law enforcement will be instructed to enforce this order, and it's against the law basically to resist it, as I'm paraphrasing. And so people would say, well, that shows that this is not realistic because it's against the law to force people to commit suicide. Well, what people don't realize, it's because of the Emergency Banking Act of March 9th, 1933. The citizens were stripped from the constitutional rights and put into a place of collateral, meaning that we are subject to any ruling of the government, the de facto government of USA Inc. Yes, they can impose any law as they desire, as they see fit, as it would pertain to a contingency, which this footage was clearly showing that the original plan, or a plan in a point in time, obviously late 60s, early 70s, that this contingency would be carried out. This is how it would have happened. It would have happened via military force of some sort. Now, what I mentioned earlier, what I meant by this contingency, a new contingency has been in place, I should say. The new contingency involves a overthrow of the United States citizens, not by a military force, but by health care, for lack of a better term. The state of health, mental health, physical health, has eroded, according to the narrative, to the point where we now see advertisements presented on the airwaves, like, or the one that jumps out at me is there's a biomed ad as it pertains to health, as it pertains to a type of arthritis, and it's called Rinvoq. Rinvoq to me is a play on the word revoke. So Rinvoq has these as it's presented on television, it's presented on the airwaves, in the TV ads. It's a very surreal announcement as far as its side effects are concerned, with the backdrop of happy images. You know, you get this relief is possible, and at the bottom it shows all these possible side effects, death, cancer, and whatnot. You know, set goals for treatment and go all in. Okay, that is like the contingency announcement. Get your loaded gun, put it to the roof of your mouth, go all in. Okay, you deserve relief from the AS, I'm not going to pretend I know how to pronounce those words. Symptoms is a type of arthritis that affects the spinal column. It creates stiffness, back pain, and whatnot. So this Rinvoq is a treatment for this ailment. Okay, when we get into the surreal part here, serious infections. Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious infections have happened while taking Rinvoq, including tuberculosis and infections caused by bacteria, fungi, or virus that can spread throughout the body. Some people have died from these infections. Your healthcare provider should test you for tuberculosis for starting Rinvoq, and check you closely, I should say, for symptoms of tuberculosis during treatment of Rinvoq. You should not start taking Rinvoq if you have any kind of infections unless healthcare provider tells you it is okay. Very strange instructions, to say the least. I'm going to go over all that. You know, increased risk of death in people over 50 years and older who have at least one heart disease, cardiovascular risk factor, cancer, immune system problems. Rinvoq may increase your risk of certain cancers, lymphoma, and other cancers, including skin cancer. Okay, I don't need to continue, you know, read that, but it's obvious that something horrible has happened to the United States citizens in order to be able to freely give these type of instructions over the airwaves, which should create a serious pushback, a outcry of what on earth is going on type of language. But I am not hearing it. I don't think anyone listening to this video is hearing any kind of pushback from these insane announcements coming over the airways. And it's just as insane as it would have been to view the newsreel from, you know, the contingency that we're talking about. But at least this pertains to a military overthrow, which would, as ridiculous as the requests are, like taking a victory position and whatnot, taking care of your children, killing your children before you kill yourself, etc. At least that is being announced under a more forceful scenario. The scenario with the Biomed commercials, we are being invited to take basically something, basically poison, that is being viewed as medicine. Since we are at this state, as far as what the masses are accepting as acceptable, then it is over. It is over. The contingency has been successful because the new enemy is basically delusion, strong delusion, according to 2 Thessalonians. It is a curse that the citizens of the USA Inc. has brought upon themselves for rejecting the love of the truth of the Word of God, for putting their trust in mankind, violating Jeremiah 17:5. This is the end result. So this is an announcement of a certain demise. And the yin-yang effect is the images of help, the language of help for an ailment, more than likely created by the system itself. So there is this offer of a cure that will no doubt, according to the announcements of risk, no doubt will kill you. So I hate to end this video on such a grim note, but there is nothing but bright hope, because the future is in Matthew 24:14, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and the end shall come. That is a promise from the Lord Jesus Christ himself. And continue to live in John 3:21.
As this 1952 CIA memo says, the aim is controlling an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will, and even against such fundamental laws of nature as self-preservation.